Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another special Mangaku, a Jump Tezuka manga special. As always, I'm joined by Josh and Jose. How you guys doing?
Peachy.
Jose's great. He's just very silent. For
Man
those of you that
died.
don't know, Weekly Shonen Jump is holding a contest for its 100th anniversary. Either its 100th anniversary or Jump Tezuka. I don't really know. But basically, they have an esteemed panel of judges, and you could submit any manga. I think you're allowed to submit up to 2 chapters, I think is the rule. And it will be reviewed and judged, and the winner gets 2 million yen, and they're going to be published in Weekly Shonen Jump. So a
You're
huge
rich at
contest.
that point, boys.
Some of the authors that are doing it, Akira Toriyama, author of Dragon Ball Z, author of One Piece, Blue Exorcist, My Hero Academia, Slam Dunk, and then some people at Tezuka Productions. They haven't really said. So I would assume backroom workings is that they would dwindle it down to the really good ones, and then the esteemed people would actually read it. I can't see them sitting there and reading all of these. So
I don't
worry,
think it would
everybody.
take a long time though. But
I think it would. I honestly, if
That's
you had,
so-
if you had to coordinate 6 different people reading, because it's open worldwide, by the way, and we're only looking at the English ones.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
true.
So
And then how are they grading them too?
I
Do
don't.
they
I have
like,
no
a
idea.
scale?
So that's why I assume they probably give it to a bunch of interns, and they're like, hey, pick the best ones, and then they pass them on. So
Yeah, because it is definitely getting out of hand.
we got nothing but time here at Otaku, so we're gonna go through and read as many as we can. We'll take all. They can even hire us as interns retroactively, and they can
God.
take all the credit. So we're doing 4. I like to do a serious one and then pick one of the ones that is kind of a meme, kind of not. Sometimes it's just really short and it's not worth getting its own pick, so I pick a second one, and that's the case with mine. So I'm gonna do Journey of the Seekers and Oyasumi. Jose is doing Rosen Bridge, and then Josh is doing Flowing Blade Bushido. So they all look fantastic. The art style on Jose's is definitely different from both of ours. I think Josh and mine's is a little more similar. But they could be anyone could win here. Anyone could win. So I'm gonna start off with mine. We're gonna do Journey of the Seekers first. It's got a sweet cover page.
Ooh.
2 badass people. You can see the bad guy in the back. First thing first. You see the kid who is clearly gonna be like the main character, but he's got the badass parents.
I don't know. The bad guy could be the edgy uncle, you know?
He could be, but probably not after you read the first chapter. So let me start here. So it sets up the world of a man named Jean-Pierre Paul, and he's earned the title of the Eternal King because he united all of the lands under his rule and saved it from the Dark Era, whatever that is. So, as with all people, he dies. And the world starts breaking up because he's the Eternal King, and now nobody's holding him together. So then, as with any power, loss, people start aiming for his position. They seek the fear and love that he commanded, and they are called seekers. So seekers are people who go on enduring journeys to try to become the king. And so the world becomes aware of these seekers, and they've kind of turned it into a game by assigning a ranking system. And the ranking system they use is called seeker points. So in this manga, as you meet people, they tell you that what their seeker points are, and that's kind of like, I don't know, how close they are to becoming the king. So it starts, and you see the young child from the cover page, and he's stalking a deer, and then he jumps onto the deer, Assassin's Creed style, and fucking stabs it right in the dome.
Oh, shit.
Okay? And, it just pop right in the dome. Deer's dead. And pretty cool. And then he immediately gets scolded. Hey, warriors always hunt in groups because, we ain't got time for no lone badass bullshit. So it turns around and you meet the cool looking guy. His name is Talion Thompson, and he's the chieftain of the Diavolo tribe. And he has an SP, secret points, by the way. This is the first guy we meet in all of the manga. 630 million.
Jeez.
Okay? So an insane number. Imagine, I guess it kind of worked that way in One Piece where you meet Shanks, but I don't think he was that insane. We don't know how many 630 million. That could be nothing in secret points, but that seems like an insane amount. So
That could be just rank 2 entry level.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, it really it could be like, oh yeah, you started a million. That's just rank 2. So he gets told hey, let's go back to the village, and that's where we find out that the main I'm gonna call him the main character, the little kid, but he I don't know if he is really, but his name is Leon, and we find that out because he immediately starts getting yelled at by his mom. And then so we meet his mom, then we meet 3 other badass looking grown up people who they all have SPs of about 450 million as well.
Damn,
Oh,
so
wow.
everyone's just super powerful.
Yeah, just this whole little village that they're in is insanely powerful apparently. So they come back. Talion comes back with Leon, and they immediately talk to Talion like, "Yo, we need to talk to you about something." So they send Leon off to go play with his friends, like they're discussing a divorce or some shit. They're like, "Leon, go play with your friends." And he's like, "Okay." So the mom goes with Leon over to where his friends are, and you meet all the other friends, but they're really not important. I'm just gonna spoil that right away. Well, don't worry about them. So cuts back to we're gonna call
Almost
these
name is
people
Yuppie.
we're gonna call these people the Cool Squad. Okay, all the people who have secret points are the Cool Squad. So they everybody
Are they
except
about,
for the mom,
just curious.
because the mom sticks behind. What's your question?
are they the about to be dead squad?
Well, we'll see. So
Oh, I'm getting bad vibes.
so the Cool Squad, which is it's as I said, it's Talion and the other people high SP minus the mom. The mom sticks behind with the kids. They go to check out a village because apparently it's been completely wiped out, and that's what they wanted to talk about. So they run off to go check out a village. They get there, it's on fire. People have been burned and left on stakes, and people are cut in two.
Vlad
It's
the
like
Impaler style.
Yeah, it's a brutal scene that they walk into. So after seeing it, Talion kind of goes quiet, and then eventually he screams in anger, like pissed at what has happened here. So at that point, we cut back to the kids and Leon, and they're all having a good time. And I think I kind of took a jump of logic here because they show it a little later that they took off chasing after each other, like playing in the forest because they live in a forest island thing. So they took off, and the mom's going with them. So we come back to the kids, and everybody hears Talion scream, which is apparently he's got the loudest scream in the fucking world. So he screams. Everybody's like, "Oh, Talion, or Dad." And then Leon's mom is like, "Oh, that's weird." And then she senses something. She's like, "Uh-oh." Her name, by the way, the mom is Emily Thompson, just in case, for historical facts. So
Gotcha.
Then it cuts to above them where we get some sort of narration where, unbeknownst to the kids, there's a flying castle right above I'm going to butcher this, Tenoctolin Islands or something like that, which is where they live. Okay?
You did good. I don't know.
So we'll just run with that. That's canon.
Whatever.
So we see a classic mysterious shadowy figure who looks weirdly like the guy on the front cover, that's in the back. So the shadowy figure is on the edge of this island where the castle is that's floating in the sky, and he says Talion, which is the most badass. It's the dad of Leon, the badass guy. So, and then he jumps off of the island towards the ground. So he lands, and then we immediately see the Cool Squad be alert, like, "Oh, what was that?" And then you cut back to the kids and the mom, and the guy lands right in front of them. Like, 50-50 shot of where he was going to land, and he probably got the best spot. So you finally see the full depiction of the villain, and he looks like an old-timey villain. Like,
yeah,
someone who would tie you to a railroad track. Yes, Jose. Yes. Like, hey, imagine tying you to a railroad track, except he's wearing armor. So you kind of get the depiction there.
I like it.
And then you see a map, which is where I kind of get where the kids have ran off at this point, because they show you a map of a forest, and it shows you where Cool Squad is, where the kids and the mom are, and where the bad guy just landed down, and then where their village is, and they're far. Like, so they basically chase after Cool Squad, but then they went like northwest, and the other squad went like straight north. So that's kind of where everybody is. So the bad guy, wasting no time, immediately charges the mom. All right, and she puts up some sort of a magical barrier called the Great Barrier of Artemis. The guy punches it like head on, like boom. And she's like, "Oh, thank Artemis. Had I been a second later, this would have been bad." And just as she says that, her barrier fucking cracks and just destroys right in front of her. It's like
Ripperino.
And it's like there's this weird scene of like the bad guy just kind of staring, and I don't know if he's annoyed or what, but he just like watches as this thing. He's like, "Oh, okay."
Rumble.
He's just caught off guard.
Yeah. So then you see like the mom is like, "Uh-oh." And then you see one of the kids saying that he can't feel his legs, and then another kid starts to cough up blood. And she's like, "Oh shit, I overdid it." So I'm thinking there's some sort of Reiatsu type thing going on here where like she exerted too much pressure and it's fucking everybody else up. You know what I'm talking about?
It was one of those SpongeBob things where it's like, "My leg."
Yeah, really like that. But it's like she did it with her pressure or some sort. She released too much power now that the kids are getting fucked up because they're weak. So the bad guy runs up to her again, all right? She tries to punch. She blocks with her arm. And her bone fucking breaks, okay? And it's not like you see it. It does like an X-ray thing, like almost Mortal Kombat. And her bone just like fucking breaks in two. And then she gets blown away. He does some like AoE attack, blows her the fuck away. bad guy walks over, and by the way, there was a picture where it seems like the bad guy's name and SP points should have been there, but it's
it was like weird.
Yeah, it's all like weird hieroglyphic text, which is the same thing when they introduced Talion, but then it translated it to English above it. So I don't know if it was supposed to be translated or what happened there. So we just have to refer to him as bad guy because he never gets a name.
Old-timey bad guy.
Yeah. We'll know who we're talking about. So the bad guy then walks over to the mom who is laying on the ground, like looking all fucked up, picks her up by the neck and starts choking her. Okay, like brutally starts choking her.
This is dark.
And so, yeah, the kids, you see the kids, they start to take a battle stance like they're the fucking Avengers or something. And so the bad guy basically turns to him and is like, sure. It's like, yeah, okay. It's like, fucking come at me, I guess. If you guys want to die, come on over. And then you see the kids kind of like thinking and like trying to like they're sensing the Ryatsu and they're like, oh shit, this guy's way too powerful for us. It's like, this is the difference between us and the adults. And it's like, yeah, no fucking shit, you little kids. So then a mouth, okay, like a mimic mouth, like with teeth and shit, starts opening out of the bad guy's chest, like his armor starts opening, and he's got a mouth. And so he starts demanding to know where Talion is. All right, that's why he's here. Everybody wants the coolest guy in the squad. He wants to know where Talion is. So he asks where Talion is, and just then you see a fist flying and punch the fuck out of his cheek, okay? And then, wouldn't you know it, surprise, bitch, it's Talion. So Talion punches the fuck out of him. And then you see that the rest of the cool squad is there as well. All of the kids are crying now because they thought they were about to get fucked up, but all the cool squad is there now. So Talion immediately, my man, by the way, is asking why he has a mouth for a chest. Great question.
yeah, smart.
And bad guy's like, oh, it's one of my many sacrifices because of my talent and hard work or whatever. And so then the bad guy starts trying to talk shit, and they don't expand on this, so maybe this is like hinting towards something else. But the bad guy asks Talion, like, what does it feel like to be the lesser brother? So there's possibly a cooler Talion out there somewhere that we don't know about. So, he throws that jab at Talion. And then Talion asks the bad guy, it's like, hey, do you know how many times I prayed today? And then Talion goes, I prayed twice. Once for his family and his mother, like any normal person would do, And then once to meet the person who harmed his village and then kill him himself. So then you see a badass picture of Talion, and he's got like two floating like spectral arms behind him now. Oh. And so apparently he has a power called divine prayer, where the more times he prays, the more arms he gets. So like if he knows he's going into battle, he could just pray about 1 billion times and he'll be chilling. So Talion and the bad guy start fighting, and it's a pretty quick fight because Talion just basically mollywops the fuck out of this guy. Just like punch. The guy gets fucking nothing in. So Talion winds up for one last big punch, and the bad guy looking real ragged at this point. He's like, wait. And then Talion just punches him into the fucking sky. Just like absolutely launches him into the sky. So then Talion turns to the rest of the cool squad and is like, hey, everyone now, like we're going to do a Marvel versus Capcom combo attack. So all of the cool squad start doing kind of powers. So the oldest of the cool squad, who, we don't need to get into names. They're all cool. He does red prison, which it kind of like looks like it holds him in place and then shocks him or burns him. I couldn't tell exactly what it does, but it does a fuck ton of damage to him. And then the girl does ground liquefaction, which basically liquefies the ground below him. So then they slam him into the ground using the red prison into the liquefied ground until just his head is showing. So he's basically sealed in the ground, which is his head showing. And then the third member of the cool squad has a power called Mandate, all right, which makes a seal come on his hand, and any verb that he speaks becomes reality, okay? Which seems insane. Seems absolutely insane. So he walks up to the bad guy who is already in the dirt. Just only his head's free. He can't do shit. And puts his hand to him and says, burn. And then lights him the fuck on fire. Just like you see a fucking flame pillar. Just like, boom. And it's like, and next panel, all right, he's dead. It's like, okay.
What the fuck?
So they declare him dead. You get a cool picture, a really cool ass picture of the cool squad all standing side by side, and Emily, who is the mom, who is now up there, and she looks beat to shit. But you get to see all the cool adults. And we're winding down here, and so they tell Emily to go ahead and take the kids and take them back to the village while they dispose of the body because he's dead. He's dead.
Yeah.
So the manga ends with Emily and the kids going back to their village, and it leaves on a cliffhanger here, guys. Get ready. They go to their village, and it's on fire now, okay? And there's a fucking tank. A tank standing right in the middle of their village. It's like a
Okay.
double barrel tank. So it's got like a barrel on top,
Jesus.
one barrel, and then a barrel underneath that. And the whole shit's on fire, and there's a tank there. And that's where it ends.
Wild.
Yeah, it was.
I'm pretty sure the tank doesn't stand a chance unless it's like super.
Yeah,
tank.
yeah, seriously.
Fuck, call the cool squad over. So,
Yeah,
Jesus.
beat the shit out of it.
I really like Talion, gotta say. And because of that, I feel like he will not be making it past Volume 1. So,
Yes,
no,
thank you.
they're,
He's a guild arts.
they're all way too cool characters. The whole cool squad, they're all super cool. I don't think any of them are gonna fucking make it out. So, because this was already kind of 2 chapters. I think there were 2 chapters in this one thing.
Yeah.
So if the author was to do a full volume, I don't think any of them would make it. I assume they will all die and the kids will get away. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I feel like one of them might stay, and he might be like the last
Oh, yeah.
one surviving, and then he'll teach them. That was dope. I was reading it along as you were telling it. This is fucking cool. looking.
Yeah. Art style is really good.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times that I feel like I could have used a couple more frames. Like I didn't get that the kids ran off into the forest until they showed the map.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, I guess they're just not at the village anymore. Okay, news to me.
Yeah.
But so it's like there could have been a couple things, but I thought it was fantastic all the way through. I really
It's
liked
not
it.
great.
The
I liked
characters were cool. The kids, classic kind of anime / manga thing where it's like I just don't relate to the kids. Like I get that they're really scared, but it's like that is lame. I don't know. I get the character arc they're doing, but it's like I've seen it a million times.
Yeah.
So
I get you. But no, I definitely like the powers are cool. I don't watch enough anime to know if like that's something they have, like that's a normal thing, but I like the concept of it, or it was like the prayers and like the
yeah.
verbs and stuff. That was cool.
That was
And
pretty
the
cool.
seeker points is cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I would be the worst person to have that the verb one. I'm so awful at Mad Libs.
I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to come up.
Like
with
if you had the ad lib power of that, where it's like, oh yeah, every once in a while it'll be either be like an adjective, a verb, or a pronoun. It'd be like, okay, I need an adjective. What the fuck is an adjective? Hello? It's like is that
You'll
the?
have a fucking book to pull
Yeah,
out. Like,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah,
It's like
that's
hold
how it is, a
on.
dictionary.
Oh, a proper noun? Oh shit.
one. Shit, someone's name. What's your name, sir?
Yeah. So I liked it though. I thought it was good.
but if that was your power, you would be fucking hella good at Mad Libs.
That's
after
what
a
I'm
while.
saying. I think that power's insane. I think
Yeah.
that's the best one.
But
And they didn't really go too much into detail about everybody else's power. So you get a little bit of a detail on how many times he prayers, he gets the hands. And then the only other one they did it for was the verb one, where they kind
Dude,
of
he was
explained
like
what it did.
Machamp.
Yeah. That's the only ones that they kind of gave you background for. The other ones you just saw in action. It was cool as fuck.
It's okay. Sometimes we don't get an explanation to some sick ass powers.
Yeah, they're leading you on. You know, they're like,
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
powers that
What-
could happen. We'll see.
show not tell, right? What who could
Yeah.
have ever thought?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so that was mine.
was good.
Jose, did you want to go next? You're doing Rosen Bridge.
Yes, sir. So this one's got a completely different art style, but I like Rosen Bridge, like what it actually is.
Oh, what is it?
It's the Biofrost. It's what your Thor uses to travel.
Oh.
Okay.
So the scientific name for it is
see, I was just thinking
Wow.
Jose picked like one of the first ones on the first page, and I was like, oh, that's
I
it.
had no
didn't
idea
know
that was something else. Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
So the
I feel like that.
Biofrost's scientific name is Einstein Rosen Bridge because I think they discovered it, both Einstein and Rosen.
Oh, okay.
But that's just my love for Thor.
Okay.
But the cover is also purple, and it caught my eye.
Okay, of course, yes.
That's
And
pretty
on
cool.
you can see what's going to be the main character, and he's shirtless, has gauntlets, and that's about it
Looks cool.
for the cover page. Now let's start. So it starts with just a couple of scientists and people, and they're talking about like unwanted babies and how they take them and they shoot them off into space because the planet is dying.
Oh, so it's like
but-
Superman.
Yeah,
It's like
it has a
Goku.
Superman feeling,
Or
but it's like
Goku.
or Goku, and it's basically them freezing over on Earth, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna be frozen to death. We'll send him to Earth. Maybe they can come back," kind of thing. So they launch him out into space, and he lands on this little planet where it starts going 0 year 1. He's learning, little kid things, adventures. Year 3, you see him eating food. Year 5, he's like, "This is how you spell, read and write." And then by year 7, he gets a mission where it's like,
he's learning these things from his spaceship?
yeah, his baby. They call it the baby pod or the
Okay.
baby ship.
Okay.
And so he's getting videos or something's teaching him, and at the last one, he's getting like a message from the guy who sent them off into space, and he tells them how they wanted them to save the civilization, so they launched them out into Earth, or not? They launched them out of Earth to different planets, and that it's his mission to find other people and all that stuff.
Oh,
But
wait.
like
So they're not on Earth? They sent them from Earth to other planets?
to a different planet, yeah.
Oh, I thought they were
And so-
sending them off of a different planet to Earth.
No, and then finally, it's like there's 7 years have passed, and he's finally like now seeing the outside world, and there's like a little picture of it, and that's very stylized. I actually kind of like the style of it.
Yeah, this is dope looking.
And then you just see him, like living, and then it looks and it jumps into the future, and he's like, it's been 8 years, he hasn't met any humans yet, and he thinks he's the only one that survived. So he's just kind of like doing his thing, and he's making a smoke signal, hoping someone will find him, cooking up some grub. When he hears a crack and he turns around super quick, he's like, fuck, something's out there. He's like, oh, if you're a human, show yourself. And he starts yelling, starts kind of panicking on the inside, and then realizes it's nobody, and he, gets a little sad and depressed.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden he turns around and there's this giant bear bat looking thing.
Okay, yes.
Yep. And it breathes fire, and it just instantly scorches his arm.
And that's the first time he's seen that in 8 years.
Yeah. Well, I guess so.
Interesting.
hmm he kneels to the ground in pain, and then the thing's about ready to shoot another fireball, and so he's like, fuck, I'm gonna get hit by this thing. And he uses his gauntlet to absorb the fire and then shoot it back out. It's not explained how that happens, but he does it.
He's got ninja tech. It's like Boruto.
Boy,
He hits the bear bat looking thing, gorilla.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna
Yes,
call him.
the bareback gorilla as it is now, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, he's doing a great job at
He's
describing it.
evolving.
I'm looking at this shit. I don't know what to call it.
And he's jumping towards him and says, like, cut the panels of screaming. So he jumps up. He's like, I have to finish it. Shoves his gauntlet into his mouth. As it's in his mouth, he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna die, blah blah blah. And then he just explodes from the inside.
Okay.
The bear bat thing is.
Yeah, the bear bat gorilla thing.
So he explodes his head by putting his hand into its mouth.
But
just
it doesn't
like
look like it blew up his head. Yeah, and the force shoots the main character into a rock, and he falls. And then he sees the bareback gorilla fall.
Huh. Okay.
And then it cuts to him kind of like heavy breathing, and he's like, fuck, I gotta keep moving. And he keeps walking, and he hears footsteps, like, dum, 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 dum. He looks everywhere.
Could be
takes
another
cover,
one. Could be another one.
Takes cover behind a rock, and he sees a silhouette of what looks like a person, but he's not sure. And he's like, it's gonna find me. He's like, fuck, this is the end. And then he realizes it's a chick, and the chick's like, oh hey, I saw your fire signal.
The only
Extends her
two on
hand.
the planet. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
And they're brother and sister.
Oh no.
We got
So
an
he's-
Adam and Eve situation going on here.
Hey.
Oh, they gotta repopulate. But heavy breathing, and he's like really happy that he's not the only ones,
Mhm.
and then passes out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she then carries him. Like, you don't see her carrying him, but it cuts to him waking up.
I mean, we all kind of do the same thing, right? We talk to a girl and pass out.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
all the time. I can relate so hard to that.
Yep. And then you hear her talking about how he took the metal from the ship and made the gauntlets and the shoes, because where they live at currently, there's a lower gravity, so he stays grounded this way.
Ah, okay. Smart man.
Yep. And then
Although I feel like you would be better off just adapting to it at that point, but that's okay.
yeah. And then she talks about how he re-engineered the thruster so it can absorb fire and shoot it back and stuff like that. And then having his boots being weighed down by stones, and then you meet the two other characters. Now there's 4 of them. One who's pretty much a doctor and takes care of all his wounds, and then some other chick who doesn't really talk much except for when she says, "Hey, did you crack the code?" And he's like, "Wait, a code?" She
So
gives him
was he the only dummy who didn't meet up with the rest of the humans for 8 years?
somehow he didn't meet them and didn't know about them. And
okay.
so she talks about a hidden message, and she's said that 2 years ago when she was messing around in her baby ship, she found an encrypted code and message, and she's like, oh, I made a copy. Here, I hope you can read it, thinking he's a dummy. Then it cuts back to the scientist. He's like, oh, you cracked the code. I'm so proud of you. Sorry, but the government doesn't trust me, so I had to hide this. And he talks about how there was a war that actually went on, and they had to sacrifice the planet in order to. And it doesn't say if they won or lost the war. So before they froze it, they had to find 4 planets that were very similar to the Earth, and they send 5 human babies to each one of those planets. And he's at
So
the
we're
end. He's
missing one main character.
like, one main character.
Who's probably the bad guy.
It's all true.
Yep. And he says, "I'm gonna be on one of those planets." He's like, because I possess the only weapon or the key to winning the war, and he's like, it's a machine called it. ... And you never really get a good look at this guy, this scientist who's talking about it, and then he says, the Rosen Bridge. Bah.
Oh, so it's called the Rosen Bridge. I thought you were saying it was called it.
No, I was just building dramatic effect.
Okay.
We were not very creative, but it does dope shit.
Okay. Name of the manga, the Rosen Bridge. Got it.
Yeah, and then he's like, according to his calculations, the freezing on the Earth will stop working within 98 years. He's like, and then he's like, it'll be safe for us to go back there, but he thinks the threat's gonna return as well. So he's counting on human nature, the nature of humans being creative and curious to find like his hidden message, and humans working together and stuff to find him. Then he's like, then we'll all travel through many planets and we'll find all the humans that are still out there. He's like, 98 years from now, we will retrieve our Earth.
Yeah, okay, but I have a question. Sensei, if you only sent out 5 people per planet and there's only 4, you're only retrieving 20 humans.
Right? Well, I think these guys have only been...
We said 5. Oh, you're right.
So you can't really reclaim a planet with only 20 people, especially if there's going to be some sort of a threat coming afterwards. How are you going to defend a planet with just 20 people?
Unless the people that are frozen are going to come back. I'm not sure where this is really going so far.
I'd like to answer. I think that they're setting up for a harem. And they already have 2 girls, 2 guys.
How many years do they have again before it?
98.
Oh, that's plenty of time. That's plenty.
And if they're humans, they've got a solid at least 30 years left in
Do
these
we get
kids.
the calculations on if you wanted to make adults by the time you needed to go back to Earth, how many kids could you pop out and make an adult before?
Well, it's a simple equation of it's about a 10-month pregnancy and it's 12 months per year. We've got about 30 years until the girls are no longer able to get pregnant unless you start getting pregnant off the chicks. So let's do 10 into or 20 into or 12 into 30 would be 360, and this is just first gen. As soon as you get the second gen to start banging each other, it just it's exponential. So you can get about 36 kids out of first generation,
and that's for one girl.
Per one girl.
Damn,
so
dude.
70. Oh, so yeah, 72.
She's just a slave at that point.
So let's say they evenly sent out 10 girls, 10 guys. So in the first year, we could get 360 people.
Yeah. Well, wait,
no, that's
I'm
not
sorry.
Right. That's not right.
In the first generation, in the first 30,
first
in the next 30 years.
So the next 30 years, you would get 360 people total.
Just from the first gen. The second gen kind of fucks my numbers up. We have to go exponential. That's assuming we all survive. We don't know this world. Yeah. Maybe miscarriage is a thing.
I think you have to start worrying about inbreeding and stuff, and that'll just weaken your troops. So it looks like
fucked. They've got different people. So if they just bang enough, if they did a couple different bangings, and then they bang the others child, and then just kept going like that.
Jesus.
I mean, the guys technically can go until they're dead. So as long as the penis works, they can get through with this.
Okay. Well, now we know. So continue on, Jose. I'm sure that'll come into play later.
Then they talk about how it wasn't a message to retrieve the planet. It's more about guilt from the professor dude. And he's like, oh, he failed at saving his planet and his people. He's like, so he feels guilt and wasn't able to save them. And he's like, he's looking for a second chance, but he needs help. So
basically, this chick was smart enough to find the code, but then they gave it to this guy who was unable to find humans for the first 3 or his entire life. And
clearly, he's a nerd.
They're
and
filling him
computer.
in. Come on, they're getting all the input.
Well, I thought he was. Did he crack the code?
No.
Oh, they cracked the code.
Yeah, she cracked the code, told him, he read it, and then was like,
they probably knew that fucking guy was a dunce at birth, and they didn't put a code on his machine.
Yep.
Like, listen, this guy's not going to find shit the first 8 years, so we're just going to leave him.
Yeah, and, I mean, they haven't found any clues to finding this guy or the 5th human.
I do
Okay.
have, yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if he was unable to find it, he was able to turn, robot technology into like hand cannons, but he just used smoke signals from the fire.
Yeah, someone
So,
saw the smoke signals, dude. Ancient technology still works.
oh yeah, it just takes 8 fucking years.
Yeah. Then they go on to some scientific shit where they like, oh, he's like, we still have more than 80 years left. Don't worry, we have that long. Uh, and then main character is like, no, not really. He's like, he can live until then. Time is relative. They taught us that in the baby ships. And then he goes and talks about how a planet that has low gravity. He's like, this planet has low gravity. That's why I'm floating. He's like, and when gravity is stronger, time will pass slower. So everyone looks confused, and he's like, I liked him. Then the one other guy's like, I liked him better than when he spoke.
Oh, they don't like smart him.
Yeah, they don't like smart boy. Uh, he basically has less years have passed since on Earth, and he's like, only 7 years have actually passed on Earth since then, is what he says.
Okay.
Then he says, I think he'll use a strong gravity place, like maybe another planet. This way, he'll shorten the amount of time he'll have to wait. He'll stay there for a few days or months, and it'll be decades on Earth. So everyone's just kind of like, huh? I mean, I'm kind of confused by it, but sure.
Okay.
And then they're like, oh, get some rest, whatever. He kind of thinks about the planet a bit more, and then he's like, what kind of machine is going to be able to stop that threat that happened to the Earth? And then he goes back and thinks about the Rosen Bridge. Then cut to Bat Bear Gorilla. He didn't die.
What?
Yeah, he didn't die. They just hear a loud roar, and he's outside their camp.
Okay.
And then he's all fucked up.
Should have double tapped it.
Exactly. And then they're like, don't worry, we got this shit. He's like, we do this on a daily. And then they all get their weapons. They literally split up into threes and then just proceed to beating the shit out of this thing.
Okay.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, literally. The girl who finds him, shield bashes him, hits him with a hammer, and just beats the living shit out of him. The other guy runs around him and uses a rope, ties him down, and then the other chick throws a spear and just wrecks this thing in the head.
I'm pretty sure his head was blown the fuck off.
Maybe just the insides of him.
Maybe we'll find out.
And then at the end, they're like, "Oh wait, we didn't introduce ourselves. How rude of us." So then he's like, "I'm Manny, the dude with the whip. I'm Suna, the chick with the spear, and I'm
Scalame?
Scalami, Scalme." And then the main character says, "And I'm Eniar." He's like,
Okay.
"Nice to meet you all," and it ends like that.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I get the plot. I don't know where it would go from here. So is the aim of the plot now
To find the fifth person,
well,
or to find the?
So I think obviously one is to find the fifth person, right?
Mhm.
And then two is they now have to find a way to get off the planet to the other planets, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like they basically
think about that.
have to rebuild all of civilization to the point where they can get off of this planet onto another planet, which might be easier said than done if they all know where their baby pods are, right?
Pretty sure they all.
Yeah, Fuckboy McGee broke his. He fucked up the whole thing, but
oh, this is gonna set up part of the harem because he's gonna have to join one of the girls.
Yes.
And they're gonna bang, and there's gonna be like 32 children by the time they get to the next planet. You're welcome.
So
Fiend.
interesting. I see it. I don't know what else to say aside from that. So art looks interesting. It's unique. Storyline is mysterious, I would say.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of like it's got a cool concept. I think it
just
that
needs
Superman
a little bit
vibe.
more fleshing.
I just wonder where it's gonna go. So I haven't seen it, but it could be something like Dr. Stone, where it's like they have to rebuild the civilization, but now they have the knowledge from Earth that they've been given, so it's like it might not be as hard, like they kind of fast track it. and they got to explore the world they're on. They'll explore the world
They're
looking
gonna
for the
see
fifth guy.
something.
They got to make it to another planet and then rinse and repeat until they find the scientist and go back to Earth.
Yeah, what if the fifth person is the bad guy, like Josh said, and just doesn't want to do it?
And so, like, they're saying time is relative. So I think you're trying to set up that, we won't have to watch this main character die of old age.
Yeah.
So,
good point. Yeah.
because 98 years, that would be game over for all 5 of these
Yeah.
people.
I wonder if there's like a reason for 98 years. That seems odd.
Yeah.
Because and they've already used 15 of it.
Yeah. Yeah, they said
Yeah.
they have like 80 left, right? So they're already yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, well
Yeah.
that was Rosen Bridge,
That chapter 2 will explain everything. Don't you worry.
Yep.
It's a good setup. If you add a second chapter to just like that was a good layup in volleyball terms, now you just need somebody to spike it,
Yep. Someone's got to finish it.
So, Josh, did you want to go for your flowing blade Bushido?
Yeah, and I've got to say, of all the ones we've currently read, this is one that I feel like a legit company fucking put out. It is so well, like, animated, or however you want, drawn.
Yes, the animated.
If you guys want to, I don't know if you want to open it up and take a look at it with me. This shit is like bonkers. It looks like a legit manga. So basically, they're doing. And I'll come back to it at the end, but I want you guys to kind of just think, what does this remind you of?
Okay.
And is this the promised land we had asked for? So basically they start setting up like the world. It's 2525, so way in the future. And basically like war has gotten to the point where they just have unfathomable like explosive stuff, and it's pretty much just like, oh yeah, we're doing great, but like we can blow your whole place up. So basically there's like a extinction level attack where it just wipes the entire world. It's like satellites are blowing this entire planet up, and it's basically like almost on fire. They show pictures of just like
So
how
satellites are blowing shit up.
it's like, yeah, it's like satellite weapons essentially.
So
Shit.
so I don't know if it was explained. So does like every country have its own Justice League weapon, and they're just fucking firing lasers, goddamn, down?
So let me just read the first. In the year 2525, escalating hostility between world powers led to a global conflict as each global power strikes the other with unfathomable force. So I think it's essentially just everybody, did the same thing, and they're just like, hey, truce, we're gonna hit each other.
Okay, so everybody built a Justice League tower in space, and then they use it to fire.
They just shot at themselves.
And it gets a little weird. They say the energy from the Earth's dragon lines. So I think there's another thing that they're going to have to like develop there. But essentially, like the world is living, and then they kind of go and show pictures of how the world is rebuilding, like how civilization is rebuilt, and it looks really cool. And they don't say it's Earth, I think, at any point, but you can tell it's Earth. They go to a map up above, and it's like the United States, South Africa or South America, Africa, all this are just blown to fucking shit, but they're kind of like still in some semblance. So I think they're about 500 years past the Great War is what they called it. And so they basically made this like pact with everyone, just like, yeah, we shouldn't be doing this. But when all this shit happened, apparently it started opening up a portal or like another dimension. Basically just broke the barrier for all these like mythical creatures that were on the other side, and they're making pacts with like people. And again, like there's this fucking image where it's like a giant dark fire lion. It is so fucking sick. Like these are just like
It's like Avatar.
It is so cool. And then they have basically they say after the cataclysm that humans actually changed from it, and they can control their electromagnetic field, I believe. Yes. And they can control fundamental aspects of nature. So they can like control it is like Avatar. So
so they can control the elements?
Yeah, there's like a sick image of one of those like deities where they've got like 6 hands, and they've got a hand with like each different element. And essentially they created like a new class, and I think they're bringing back Bushido as like they took the code of Bushido and implemented, and that's your warrior race kind of thing. And so the story, that's like the plot. That's basically the world development, and then they start getting into the story. Very quick, very simple, not lore dump heavy and all.
Does
like
not seem simple to me.
It when you read it, it's simple enough. Like, yeah, there's a bit to it, but it's pretty cool.
They did
like,
so much more. They opened the spirit world, and now there's spirits, and humans can control nature.
Yes.
Avatar.
I think that was simple enough.
Okay. Continue.
So you cut to the current storyline, or like some part of it, and basically there's a trade deal going on at sea. Two families are merging, and then out of nowhere, like a giant storm comes in and blows the ship up. One of the heads of the family's like daughter was stuck under, and they kind of allude to her mom.
Rip Titanic.
Passing. Yeah.
No.
So like he's trying to get people on his crew to go help her and get her out, but she's stuck behind like this massive log that's on fire.
Yeah, and you can't really
see her.
carry unconscious people when the thing's built on fire, so you might as well just leave it.
Yeah, and so basically they cut to this other boat where just shut up. I just got it.
Okay, so they
A little delayed, but
sorry. So we cut to another boat, and this captain is piloting it, and basically one of his guys is like, hey, this other boat that we knew about is caught on fire from the storm. We need to go help them. And he was basically like, I told them this is a bad idea. This is not the day to go out for trade. You know, there was going to be a storm or whatever. So they dip, and they go to find the ship, and his son asks him, like, oh, why do we have to go do this? He's like, because we're the only ones who can. And so that's kind of like very noble. So you cut back to the guy that was part of the deal, and he's like, where's my daughter? And his crew's like, we tried to get him, but the flames are too high. And one dude had like a full burnt hand because he was trying to move this log to get to her. And he's like, I just couldn't, you know, hopefully like the other people will be able to get him. And the son jumps up. He's like, where's the ship? Where is she? I'm going to go find her. And they're like, why would you do this? He's like, because I can. Or something like that, like his dad. And he's on
like
the
a Kid
dinghy
Gohan?
boat. Pretty much, yeah. And he's like a little dinghy boat, and he just like fucking rips it over to this on fire, essentially Titanic-sized boat. And he just calls for. They kind of just jump to him finding her at the window, because there's like a porthole window where she's like knocking on, and she's trying to tell him, "Don't break the glass. It's gonna let the water in, and I'm gonna drown." And he's just like, "Fuck it," and just breaks the window open, and it floods in, and he pulls her out. And he gets her up to his little boat. They start going towards the main boat, and apparently there's fireworks on this big ass Titanic boat. It starts exploding, and it's caused some like waves, and he basically falls into the water, and then he passes out. And it's one of those classic wake up.
Everybody knows you pass out when you meet a girl. It happens all the time.
Yes, thank you. Reoccurring themes. And basically you find out that it was a dream. And he's like, oh, dude, this is the same dream from before, like the second time this week. I wonder what it means. And I think it was an actual event that happened. Like he said it's from that night. So I don't know if it's like the significant event that happened after. But basically it's like a decade jump or something. He's a bit older. He's got a bit more like, he's more of that cool teenage guy, just like
cool.
Aladdin kind of vibe, where he's just like floating through, like talking to people, like swinging around, jumping around shit. And he basically wakes up, finds out he's late to go to his academy. So he's just like flying there. And he's on a boat. And I want you to keep that in mind. He's on a boat. They've all been on boats.
Wait, so he's on a boat?
Like a little mini, it's totally like a sailboat. And you know, they're in the year 3025. And you know, like they didn't make it seem like technology really has advanced.
Going to his academy? Is that?
Yeah, it feels. Yeah, he's on a boat, and then he gets on a dinghy boat, and then basically it's like a little sailboat flies over to land, and he gets to the city. The city just looks like a normal port town. Yeah, but it's like a very normal, like feudal Japan kind of style.
So is the city on a boat?
No. City. He comes from a boat, goes to the city. I apologize.
Okay.
And then you cut to him jumping onto a bus, and these things fucking fly. Like there's flying cars in the city. So
Oh,
it's totally weird. Like I don't get the justification, but basically he gets on the boat or on the flying bus, and the guy is like, tickets, I need your tickets, and he's like, oh shit, I lost my wallet. It was on my boat. I am part of like the military police, so I'm wearing my uniform. Like, is it cool? And the guy's still like, I'm what is it? What did he say? And I'm like, what is it? I'm the daimyo, or daimyo, or he's basically like, yeah, I'm like the guy in charge too. Whatever, I need a ticket, and he sees another fucking ship flying above him, and he's like, oh, where does that go? He's like, the ticket guy's like, oh, it goes to the school. It takes the kids there every day for the academy he's going to. He's like, oh, cool. Hops out the fucking ceiling, lances or like throws a fucking chain, catches onto it, flies up, and then rides that shit all the way to the academy. It's fucking wild. And he keeps like car jumping and stuff like that. Kind of get like a panoramic of the city, and then you show up to the academy, and he's late again. Everyone's already starting to fight. They're doing sparring.
Kendo style.
Yeah. And he's trying to join people's groups. He's like, hey, you guys still need a +1? They're like, not after last time. Like, basically, he's got this reputation of causing a bunch of fucking trouble and getting people in danger. And no one wants to fight with him. And you see this badass dude in armor come up with like a spear. And he's the teacher. And he's like, oh, you've been a straggler again today. Why don't we teach the entire class what I was teaching them before you got here? So it's basically like, I taught them a technique. I'm going to demonstrate how you use it on people, and you didn't learn it, so you're going to have to fight me. And this dude is fucking, like, wicked looking.
Oh, he looks like a shogun.
Yeah, dude, he's wild. He's huge. And the guy's like, no, we're cool. I could probably just learn from somebody if they keep doing it enough. Don't worry about it. And the dude just is like, no, I'm good, and just starts wailing on him. And he's getting, he, like, dodges the first couple, but he gets, like, kicked in the fucking face. He's bleeding. He's getting attacked by this dude, and he's like, he notices something weird about him. And this is his teacher. He's like, the like air is darker around him. Like, he's got this bad aura. And when and I forgot to mention the reason they can control the elements and all this stuff, they call it the Aether effect. So that was, he brings it up. He's like, oh, is this the Aether effect? Because he starts to feel it, and he's able to kind of like parry one of the attacks and then do like an upper, like one of those classic bend backwards, put your hand on the floor, and then your like one foot goes straight up into the bottom of their jaw, like
that
kick.
Rock Lee move.
Yeah. So he did that to his teacher, and the teacher gets back up and then starts fucking like going full salvo. And the kid's like, dude, I can't even fucking breathe. Like, there's something like weird with the air around this guy. And the teacher is about to like fucking kill him essentially. And this random dude named Dimitri just shows up, parries, and you can see he's got like, it almost looks like he has multiple arms, but it's just, I think it's a art style to show that he can like fucking dodge, like
moving fast,
parry all these fucking attacks this other guy did. Dimitri sets the teacher in place, like, what the fuck is your problem? I can't believe you just lost your cool with a student. And the commander is essentially, or no, sorry, Dimitri's the commander. The teacher is essentially like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, let the emotions get the better of me, and then he has to walk away. But like, he's wearing a mask, and the mask kind of, the teacher's mask is kind of like this like angry face. I don't know if it's intended to say like this guy's a bad guy or he's like one of those questionable good guys, but he fucked the main character up, just like beat the shit out of him. And he has like cuts and bruises and stuff in him that weren't there from like the blade, and he had armor on, just pierced through it. Then we cut. He was basically taken to the infirmary. Dimitri said, "You're going to take him to the infirmary. I'm going to have a talk with this teacher. We're taking him to the daimyo. Like, this is bullshit." We cut to this girl chilling in bed, headphones, sleeping, and it's the girl from the pool, or from the boat that he had saved
From
years back.
Titanic.
Yeah, from Titanic. And so he's popping into her window, and he's like, oh, let me in. And so they've either been good friends or they've been dating. You don't get that yet, But basically, she starts taking a look at all of his stuff, and she's like super rich. You start to find out, and she's got like this experimental drug and all these other things to kind of repair him. And she's like, yeah, it's like this technology that's in the beta phases, kind of stuff like that. One weird turn that kind of derailed me was in the same realm of her having this like technology while she's like kind of repairing him and putting these new things onto him to like he had already gotten bandaged up. Basically, she's trying to further repair him. She has this like weird worm thing on her shoulder, and I'm thinking, oh, he's unlocked the Aether effect, so he's starting to see all these weird animals around.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to attack it, and he's like, you've got something on you, and pulls his sword out and goes to like stab it, and his sword disintegrates. And she's like, why would you attack my pet? So she had it, and then she says it's basically AI, and it's like a malfunctioning quantum computer, and it takes the form of like a centipede, and then with a thought, it can change into anything else. And to demonstrate that, she kind of says she makes like it turn into a weird bracelet / watch thing.
But it's always a snake.
It like when it's moving around, it was a centipede kind of thing.
Oh, so it wasn't.
It
a
was
snake.
weird. No, it wasn't a snake. Did I say snake? I thought I said centipede.
Oh, you said centipede.
Okay, fuck you, Sam. But yeah, it was just weird. And basically she's kind of demoing that her dad, which was this like really rich guy earlier, is a part of like this big corporation. She has access to all these like really niche, cutting edge technologies. And they walk out from her second floor window, and they're on top, and they basically see this floating city, the Zyraku. And that's why Dimitri, this commander that saved him earlier, is back in town. They kind of reference that teacher was basically the only reason you didn't die was because Dimitri's in town. He always goes off when Dimitri's gone because Dimitri puts him in his place. He threw like some kid through a fucking wall in the previous week or some shit like that.
Jeez.
So basically they've established the teacher is an asshole and abusive, and Dimitri's like this god level knight in their city that goes on like campaigns, and they have big stuff. But basically they see the city, and you get to a full color art, and it's her and him, and it looks like it's a like floating image of Dimitri and the teacher in the background, and that's essentially it. There's no allusion to the character that they have at the end cover. I don't know if you guys see this. It's like a totally different person. It's got like the straw hat with like a cybernetic arm. I'm curious.
Maybe that'll be him when he's older.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
He's got scar on his shoulder.
Yeah, but I gotta say, for not having a whole lot of like knowing what was going on, I want to know what's going on. Like the story didn't seem too bad. It didn't seem like a lore dump or anything like that. I know it seemed like
so from your description, like what is there to know? What is the conflict that I'm supposed to know?
So basically there is no conflict from my understanding. They make it seem like there is a conflict because the cities aren't like trading with each other, I guess, is what they're doing. But they essentially said like, yeah, we realized it was really bad because the earth was blown up, and we realized that this isn't the way we want to live. And so some people did survive that like great reckoning, but they're like, yeah, we got to keep this shit together. We can't be fucking killing each other. So I do want to know where this concept comes from. Like, why do they need a warrior class? All this stuff. But the artwork and like the general storytelling, not the overarching, because we just don't know. I don't think there's enough to go with it.
Yeah,
it seems good. It seems really good. And when I first started reading it, because I just looked at the cool art and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pick this. Started reading it and I was like, oh my god, this is what Samurai 8 could have been. But I feel like we read more of Samurai 8. It had more story to it, and it was still just wasn't there, I guess. I really like this when I was reading it. So
seems interesting. Like,
yeah,
I see it.
I would say read it yourself, because I feel like I'm not going to be able to describe it that well. But at the same time, I just think it was good. It was really good. I didn't feel bad for reading it. So
That's a bonus. There you go.
yeah, and it
Yep.
didn't feel memey or anything like that. It was like legit, like they have a story to keep telling. Whereas some of these other ones, it feels like they don't really have anything going on after
Yeah.
this.
Seems interesting. I don't know. If it was me, I feel like I would have cut the part about him saving the girl in the beginning, because that doesn't come into play at all. And it's like,
Well,
okay.
Like they don't
it
really
kinda
talk about
does.
it.
It's her, so you know it's her.
Yeah, but it's like, that's like,
obviously,
I'm
yeah.
thinking if I'm pitching a manga here, it's like, we skip that part. It
Well-
wasn't really exciting. You don't know if it even happened. You don't know much about it. It's like, we'll skip that. We'll put in some more shit about maybe what conflict are we solving here. Or it's like,
they kind of set up some stuff that I kind of.
I would love to meet the Daimao or whatever his name
Yeah.
is. I would love to meet him.
Yeah. Well, so the trade that was going on, you kind of want to know where the storm came from, because when you see the pictures before the storm happened and Titanic sinks, it's very different. Like it seems like it was a planned attack. And then
Are you trying to say the iceberg was a planned attack? Hello?
No.
lol. And it obviously felt like a shady deal, like between this person and the other guy. You don't really get much. It was like a 13 billion special credit. Like they have a special unit of currency that they used. It was like 13 or 18 billion. So it was obviously this huge amount of money. And they kind of set up like, oh, the mother of the girl that was saved eventually, she quite possibly died or drowned at sea. So the daughter likes to stay inside the boat at all times, doesn't like to be near the ocean. There's a lot of like minor setup that you could like kind of pull some stuff from. But yeah, I think it was just kind of a setup like, oh, here's how heroes work. And, there's some weird stuff that happened. And we'll develop that later on. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was Flowing Blade Bushido. So
Mhm.
there you go. I will be doing one more. So we have one more to finish off, and then we'll choose the winner of this episode of the Special Mangaku. So the last one that we're doing is Oyasumi. And it's very short. It's literally 7 pages, if that. Well, I think the last page you can't even count. So it's no words spoken except for Oyasumi. So let me set up the scene for you here. You see a young boy. He's licking a lollipop. He's sitting on the edge of like a walkway, basically like hanging his feet off, like some steampunk looking thing. And then you cut further back and you see a girl standing across the way with a gun behind her back, staring at him as he's just sitting there. So
Ew.
you see the girl start to walk towards him, holding the gun behind her back. Okay. So just start walking towards him, and she gets up right behind him. And then you see click, like she's cocking the gun, right? Guy not doing anything, just licking his lollipop, hanging out on the edge of this walkway. And so she puts the gun to his head and says, Oyasumi, and then it cuts to black. That's,
Sopranos.
yeah, that's literally
Nice.
That's literally it. But it's like the art style is really good. I really like
yeah,
the art
it looks
style.
really
It looks
good.
like, I don't know, almost kind of like stylized, or almost like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like a 90s vibe. I really like it.
I got it too. It had like some weird. The only thing, so I'm looking at it in page 1 and 2. There's like a cannon underneath the kid that's licking the lollipop. Does anyone want to talk about the fact that it looks like a fleshlight?
Yeah, it looks totally like a fleshlight. It really does. It's I could. That's why I couldn't. I don't know what you call. He's hanging off of a ledge and he's got his foot rested on a fleshlight. I guess that's what we'll call it.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it's a weird, like, I genuinely really liked this. Like, I don't know if I don't think it'll be the winner. It won't be chosen like to be published. But it's so, I don't know. I love manga where people die. Like where the like main characters, like let's kill off a couple of them. This is really interesting. It's like literally, it's only 7 pages, and it's somebody seeing someone sitting across the way, that person walking over, putting a gun to their head, and then saying Oyasumi, which means a good night in Japanese, by the way. So
Okay.
So she's saying good night, and then it cuts to black. So
I just like the art on this.
yeah, it looks fantastic. I really, really, really like this, and it's only 7 pages long.
And that cover looks gorgeous.
Yeah, cover art's fantastic. So I really, really like it, and it's like it takes literally 5 seconds to read. So that's why we did 2. So that was Oyasumi. Check it out. You will have seen the pictures up on the screen. It looks really, really good. So the 4, once again, that we did was Journey of the Seekers, Rosen Bridge, Flowing Blade Bushido, and then Oyasumi. So what we like to do is we will pick the one that we like the best. That way, by the end of this, we'll have probably like a top 10, and then we'll choose from those which one we think is the true winner, and we'll see if we can guess correctly. We know just as well as those other Joe Schmoes who are judging. So do you guys have one that you like in particular? Do you guys want to discuss it more? Because Flowing Blade Bushido is the last one we did. Art style, fantastic. Story, I would say Josh really liked it.
Okay.
Rosen Bridge, I think, had maybe the most potential for a storyline. I don't know where they're going with that, but it seems like they could go multiple different directions, and it could go on forever.
In the air, yeah.
It's almost like a One Piece where they could just keep going for however many islands / planets they want to fucking do.
Oh, true.
So that one's really open, and that I say the art style on Rosen Bridge is the most unique out of the 4 that we did. It definitely looks way different. And then Journey of the Seeker, I would say, is a halfway point for art style between I think Flowing Blade Bushido, their art looks the nicest. Definitely give that to them. And that one is about Seeker points. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Hunter x Hunter and how they have to get points and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Hunter points.
Yeah, I really like that. And then it seems like that would be more of an adventure story is kind of what I'm getting off of that, where once again it would be a little bit like Hunter x Hunter, where it's just a grand adventure. I imagine they would spread out after that, because the literal setup is trying to have an adventure to be the king. And then Oyasumi, the one we just did, is very short, and as fantastic as it is, I really, really like. Honorable mention for sure, but I don't think any of us are gonna pick that because it's just so short. But we love it. I think we all. It's fantastic. So really, we're picking out a Journey of the Seekers, Rosen Bridge, and Flowing Blade Bushido.
I would say Journey of the Seekers is the best, like
story-wise
potential and story. Like, you kind of want to know. I feel like if I had a bad guy show up in Flowing Blade Bushido, it probably would have had a better story.
That's why I'm saying that. I wish they would have.
It needed a conflict.
Let's cut out the part about the girl in the beginning, which, like, I get that, where it's like, oh yeah, they're doing a trade, it's setting up the world. Let's cut that part out and put some big conflict in there. Like, I get the teacher thing, but it's like, it would have been even cool to keep the teacher part, cut out the middle or the beginning part with the girl, and then let's see what happens when he gets taken to the daimyo or whatever, or the daimyo.
Yeah.
That's cool, because then you would meet the badass character. Be like,
I agree.
Okay. It's like,
so
hell
I think it was just cut too short.
Yeah.
It was still like a 50-page read or something, 40 pages.
I think all of the ones we did this week were very long.
Yeah, they were all about 40, right?
Journey of the Seeker was 54. Rosen Bridge is 49 pages. Flowing Blade Bushido is 40 on the dot.
Yeah.
And then obviously Oyasumi is only 7.
Which is still wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, the ones we've been reading in the previous ones were like maybe 15 to 30 at most, and like 30 was pushing it. But yeah, no, I think this is like we're getting into the weeks where people have had more time to complete what they were working on. Journey of the Seekers, definitely, I would say, if we're just going off the first chapter or the first 2 chapters, which I think is kind of unfair too. They got 2 chapters in to kind of describe what was going on. I thought that was better. But if I got like a second chapter for Flowing Blade and saw like some level of like, maybe it's not conflict on like a grand scale, it's more of like a scheming bullshit that's going to lead to more bullshit later on, that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I would say
what you mean, yeah.
Jose,
Journey
thoughts?
of the Seekers for me.
Journey of the Seekers. You're not going to back Rosen Bridge?
I like Rosen Bridge, but it's too wide open for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I too would have picked Journey of the Seeker. I thought that was really
Convenient.
fantastic. So that's the one that I think we're going to declare our winner, correct? We all agree?
Yes. Yeah,
so Journey of the Seekers, 100%. It does have 2 chapters, but like they're really long, both of them. So
yeah.
That's what we're going to go for. Journey of Seekers, congratulations. Let me get the author name here. I'm sorry if I butchered this. Anwar Jafari? Oh no, that's the artist probably. So Jaquan Thompson and Anwar Jafari are the 2 names listed on there. Congratulations to you both. Fantastic job. You are a winner this week. We think you are the best one out of the 4 that we read. Obviously, honorable mention to Oyasumi. I thought it was fantastic, and I love your art style. And the rest of them are just as good as well. We liked all of them for different reasons. Flowing Blade Bushido, we really liked, and Rosen Bridge had potential. We can see it. So stay tuned for next week, you guys. We'll be back next week doing more. We'll pick another 3 or 4, and we'll go through them once again and pick another winner. So if you did like the videos, be sure to like and subscribe so you know when we upload all of the new ones every week. And with that, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.